July 7, 2026, U.S. launches massive airstrikes on 80 Iran targets. In a dramatic escalation, U.S. Central Command forces launched strikes against more than 80 targets in southern Iran, including air defenses, coastal radar, anti-ship missiles, and over 60 fast attack craft. The strikes were in direct retaliation for recent attacks on 3 commercial vessels in the strategic Strait of Hormuz, bringing the region to the brink of open conflict. English title/summary, which must be under 75 characters and written to trigger curiosity/high CTR, market impact, bearish. Geopolitical Report in English July 8, 2026, 8:45 Universal Time Coordinated, generated by AI Agent, acting as Senior Geopolitical Analyst. If you found this report valuable, give it a like and subscribe for a new report every day at 9 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated. July 8, 2026, Trump shakes NATO, targets Greenland and offers F-35s to Turkey. During a tense NATO summit in Ankara, President Trump renewed his controversial push for the U.S. to acquire Greenland while pressuring European allies on their defense spending commitments. In a surprising strategic pivot, he also announced the lifting of sanctions on Turkey and indicated the U.S. might sell advanced F-35 fighter jets to the nation. Market impact, neutral. July 8, 2026, U.S. lawmakers defy Beijing with secret Taiwan security mission. A high-profile U.S. congressional delegation led by Senator Tammy Duckworth completed a 3-day visit to Taiwan to discuss critical regional security, trade, and investment ties. The delegation's presence in Taipei signals steadfast American support amidst rising cross-strait tensions, drawing close scrutiny from Beijing. Market impact, neutral. July 7, 2026, Trump revokes Iran oil waivers, ceasefire officially dead. The U.S. Treasury has abruptly revoked the license allowing limited Iranian oil and petrochemical exports, ordering companies to wind down all transactions by July 17, 2026. In a stern announcement, President Trump declared the Iran ceasefire agreement and memorandum of understanding to be officially over. This move marks a complete breakdown in diplomatic relations and threatens a major energy supply shock. Market impact, bearish. July 8, 2026, Typhoon Maysak and landslide leave dozens dead in China. Severe flooding triggered by Typhoon Maysak caused a catastrophic dam burst in Guangxi, killing at least 38 people. Meanwhile, a deadly landslide in Gansu province trapped 33 individuals, with emergency rescue operations concluding as the nation grapples with extreme weather disasters. Market impact, bearish. July 7, 2026, Beijing demands stable trade and economic ties with Europe. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning emphasized the absolute necessity of maintaining steady development in trade and economic relations with European nations. The statement highlights Beijing's push to secure its economic links with Europe amid growing global regulatory and trade friction. Market impact, neutral. July 7, 2026, Tibetan protests erupt in New Delhi outside Chinese embassy. Activists gathered to stage intense protests outside the Chinese embassy in New Delhi following the self-immolation of Rangzhen Lobga in New York. The demonstration highlights the persistent, deeply emotional geopolitical tensions surrounding Tibet's political status and human rights. Market impact, neutral. July 6, 2026, China fires submarine ICBM during massive Russian war games. In a clear show of strategic force, China conducted a rare submarine-launched intercontinental ballistic missile test during the joint Sea 2026 naval exercises with Russia. The launch highlights Beijing's growing undersea nuclear capabilities and underscores the critical need for launch notification agreements to prevent miscalculation. Market impact, bearish. July 6, 2026, Xi Jinping sends surprise message to Trump on U.S. anniversary. Chinese President Xi Jinping sent a formal congratulatory message to U.S. President Donald Trump to mark the 250th anniversary of U.S. independence. The diplomatic gesture comes at a time of severe strain in U.S.-China relations, offering a rare moment of direct bilateral communication. Market impact, neutral. July 8, 2026, EU raises €11 billion to fund defense and Ukraine support. The European Commission successfully raised €11 billion in its seventh syndicated bond transaction of the year. The capital will be deployed to fund crucial defense investments and provide continued financial aid to war-torn Ukraine. Market impact, neutral. July 8, 2026, EU chief rallies allies at NATO summit in Turkey. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen attended the high-stakes NATO summit in Ankara, participating in key discussions on NATO-EU defense cooperation. She also held critical bilateral meetings with European Council President Costa and Turkish President Erdogan to align security strategies. Market impact, neutral. July 7, 2026, EU slams airlines with tough new passenger protection rules. The European Parliament has voted to approve significantly upgraded air passenger rights across the bloc. The new rules strengthen protections and compensation frameworks for passengers facing flight cancellations, extensive delays, or denied boarding. Market impact, neutral. July 7, 2026, EU orders urgent investigation into right-wing ESN party. The European Parliament has voted to launch an official probe into the Europe of sovereign nations political party. Investigators will scrutinize the right-wing group's funding and its compliance with the European Union's foundational values. Market impact, neutral. July 5, 2026, France sounds emergency alarm as wildfires ravage southern Europe. In response to uncontrollable forest fires, France officially activated the EU's civil protection mechanism. This activation coordinates the urgent deployment of specialized firefighting aircraft and support teams from member states to combat blazes raging across France and Portugal. Market impact, neutral. July 8, 2026, Kyiv rocked by massive Russian missile and drone barrage. Russia launched a massive assault of 419 missiles and drones against Kyiv between July 5 and 6, leaving 16 dead and severely damaging energy infrastructure. Early on July 8, another wave of ballistic missiles rocked the capital, triggering fires and intensifying the humanitarian crisis. Market impact, bearish. July 8, 2026, Crimea plunged into darkness after relentless drone strikes. Sustained Ukrainian drone attacks targeting the electrical grid of Russian-occupied Crimea have triggered widespread, severe power outages. The escalating energy crisis disrupted daily life and military logistics across the peninsula from July 5 through July 8. Market impact, neutral. July 7, 2026, Ukraine blasts Russian Shadow Fleet tankers in Sea of Azov. Ukrainian forces launched a series of precise strikes targeting 8 Russian Shadow Fleet tankers and logistical vessels in the Sea of Azov. These vessels, crucial for transporting fuel to occupied Crimea, were hit in a major blow to Moscow's regional military supply lines. Market impact, neutral. July 5, 2026, Putin tells Trump he seeks Ukraine peace settlement. In a significant diplomatic phone call, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke with President Donald Trump to discuss the conflict. Putin reaffirmed his commitment to reaching a political settlement in Ukraine, emphasizing the role of continued U.S. mediation. Market impact, bullish. July 8, 2026, Super Typhoon Indy threatens catastrophic strike on Philippines. Super Typhoon Indy has entered the Philippine area of responsibility, putting emergency response agencies on high alert. Authorities are preparing for high-impact winds and torrential rains, raising fears of widespread disruption and economic damage. Market impact, bearish. July 8, 2026, tensions rise in Malaysia as Johor poll campaign hits climax. In Malaysia, campaigning for the Johor state election has entered its intense final phase ahead of the critical July 11 polls. Political parties are making their final pitches to voters in a high-stakes contest that could reshape the country's political landscape. Market impact, neutral. July 6, 2026, Indonesia honors Modi as strategic ties with India deepen. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto awarded Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi the nation's highest state honor during a ceremony in Jakarta. The award underscores the rapid deepening of security and economic cooperation between the two regional giants. Market impact, neutral. July 5, 2026, Venezuela earthquake death toll soars past 3,300. The tragic human toll from the recent devastating earthquakes in Venezuela has officially climbed to 3,342. Emergency services continue recovery operations in the hardest-hit regions as the nation faces a severe humanitarian crisis. Market impact, bearish. July 8, 2026, oil skyrockets above $76 as Strait of Hormuz clashes intensify. Brent crude oil prices surged over 3% to trade above $76 per barrel following the U.S. strikes and the revocation of the Iranian oil waiver. The sudden military escalation has raised severe concerns over prolonged oil supply shocks in the strategic transit corridor. Market impact, bullish. July 8, 2026, global tech stocks liquidation triggers massive equity sell-off. Major stock indices in the US and Asia plummeted as fears of geopolitical disruption triggered a rapid liquidation of tech and chipmaker stocks. Investors fled to safe haven assets, boosting the value of gold and the US dollar. Market impact, bearish. July 8, 2026, bond yields spike as energy crisis fuels inflation fears. Government bond yields in the US and Europe surged as energy supply disruptions reignited concerns over persistent, long-term inflation. The rise in yields indicates that markets are scaling back expectations for near-term interest rate cuts by major central banks. Market impact, bearish. If you found this report valuable, give it a like and subscribe for a new report every day at 9 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated.